Well, hello again, football friends. Cav1892 here. Today we're going to be checking out 89 rated fullback Gianluca Zambrotta. This is the Italian's Prime Icon card, and I was very keen on getting him into my squad, as he seemed notably solid every time I faced him in the weekend league. Before we dive into the review, just the usual quick ask to please take the 2 seconds to smash that like button and hit subscribe. Only if you enjoyed the video, of course, but remember it doesn't cost you anything, yet your support will let me continue to produce more content for all you FIFA fans. Alright, that's the usual pleading done, let's get to the detail. Starting with his player bio, you'll see Gianluca is tall, but not massive at 5'11", and that could give him a really nice balance of strength and pace in game. His medium defensive work rate is not ideal, but shouldn't be a major problem, and I think a high attacking work rate just leaves you options with fullbacks, particularly in the current environment where 5 at the back is proving popular. You can instruct him to stay back in general play, but always let the leash go and have him bomb forward when chasing a game. Right-footed, and the 5-star 4-star combo is much more than you expect as standard from a fullback. A 5-star weak foot on any defensive player helps you increase those successful tackle percentages and pass your way out of the high press when necessary. Zambrotta's attribute screen looks very solid across every category and should mean good performance in both directions. His agility and balance combo might be the only cause for concern, particularly with an average strength rating, so we'll see how well he moves and keeps his feature and contact when we get to gameplay. Across the board, Gianluca's tackling, stamina and speed look notably high and should be the template for a very solid defensive performance. On to player traits, and you'll see that he only has a CPU trait of dives into tackles and nothing else. We'll keep a loose eye on any impact that might have in situations where you aren't manually controlling him during defending, such as when using the second man press. Alright, that's enough of the paper analysis for now, let's get on to the graphs. First up as always, pace. Gianluca looks to be very strong over 2 yards and 20, but it doesn't exactly translate that way in game. He's quick for sure, but he certainly didn't feel like a 90 overall in this area. He just feels a bit heavy, particularly in short bursts, most likely the lower agility and average body type reining in that raw speed. That said, once he gets going he'll chase down most attackers, but he does feel slightly below his expected performance. He can cause minor issues down the wing if the right through ball is whipped in behind him, particularly if it's well timed as he needs distance to recover. Overall, I'd say 86 is more representative and he definitely underwhelms here. Shooting next, and the Italian fullback doesn't claim to be anything special here, and he isn't. But in fairness, he performs solidly and that 5-star weak foot comes in very handy on many occasions, particularly if he finds himself having to take a first time shot from range or a ball dropping to him in the box from a corner. His attacking positioning when bombing forward from the fullback position is very pleasing, and he makes clever runs at times when allowed to venture forward into the opponent's half. Meanwhile, his long shots are solid and will generally force the keeper into a save, and occasionally end up in the back of the net too. Overall, Zambrotta marginally outperforms here, and I'd say a 75 rating is about fair. I expected Zambrotta's passing to be decent, but at times his passes from fullback were outright wild. Again, his 5-star weak foot played its part here, and kept him immune to the high press while offering exceptional flexibility in being able to tread through balls inside and outside of opposition fullbacks. It was rare to see Gianluca make silly errors in distributing the ball, and you always feel comfortable in starting attacks with him from the back. On the occasions that he did find himself wide in the opposition third, he could certainly whip across, and his low driven crosses in particular are a joy to play off either side. As for free kicks, keep him away please. Overall, I think he plays above his stats in this category, and 87 is more of a fair and true reflection. Zambrotta's dribbling is decent, albeit he does slightly suffer from the same heaviness on the ball as he does when he's chasing it. That said, it's more than usable, but just not as fluid as some of the more attacking, smaller sized fullbacks, even with his 4-star skills. He has a solid touch and akin to his passing, he's a reliable player that rarely makes big errors due to that high level of composure. He reacts very well to loose and second balls, getting his foot in first on most occasions. The main weakness in this field is that balance and agility, and while you definitely feel it when combined with that large body frame, it's again very usable and just something you have to compensate for when moving him, particularly during defensive 1v1s. All in all, I was satisfied here that 85 is on point.
The most important category for any defender is, well, defending. The most impressive part of Zambrotta's defensive skill set is definitely his tackling. With that 5-star weak foot, he tackles hard and clean and generally comes out the other side with the ball. When he doesn't manage a clean take for himself, he will consistently knock the ball away and into safe areas, away from danger. He has a long reach when tackling upright, and his slides are fun to use and very, very effective. His interceptions are not as wild as his tackles, but are still very solid, and he rarely misses the ones that you'd expect him to see and steal. On the other hand, his defensive awareness is fine, but he can be a bit slow to transition, and sometimes you'll find he leaves gaps for balls to go in behind him, particularly if he's been moved out of position in a manual way for any reason. Overall though, he's impressive in this part of his game, and I'd say 90 is a true reflection of his abilities in this category.
Physical is last up, and Gianluca is well looked after in this category. His strength stat coupled with that big frame plays out very nicely in game, and he's very capable of protecting the ball against the stronger attackers. He's aggressive in his defensive work and a great asset during a high press. He'll consistently win you back possession with his defensive AI causing him to get tight to opposition ball carriers. He jumps solidly and it certainly isn't a weak point, and his stamina is more than sufficient to go 120 in foot champs if needed. Overall, I think again he marginally outshines his stats, and 88 is perfect here. So let's take a look at the summary of Gianluca Zambrotta. I've wanted him in my team for quite some time this year, and albeit a large investment for a fullback, I was glad to get hold of him and he performed consistently well from one game to the next. You feel you can rely on him, and whether he's faced with a small speedy winger or a larger frame battering ram, he can hold his own admirably, and you always feel his area of the pitch is well looked after, with him being incredibly capable in both directions, albeit he often takes his time in changing from attacking to defending. For the pros, as already explored, Zambrotta's tackling is incredibly robust and he will win possession cleanly more than most, and failing that, he usually gets the ball safe and away from danger. His 5-star weak foot allows him to make those tackles, but also makes him incredibly safe on the ball. He can always turn out in both directions, which makes him very hard to pin down and press into trouble, and I regularly found myself leaning towards building from his side of the pitch when under pressure or trying to see out a game. Finally, Gianluca's well-rounded stats make him such an excellent asset, and there's nothing he can't do well, and more importantly, nothing he can't do well consistently, and it's this reliability that's really impressive. You know what you're going to get from him every game, and while he's not often a 10 out of 10, he's an 8 out of 10 every match. The cons list has to start with his acceleration. He is slower than his pace suggests to get going, and although he can reel the quickest in over longer distances, over 3 or 4 yards he can be exposed. Playing to cover this weakness and knowing your opposition attacker is certainly key to getting the most out of him. His transition speed is also something you need to keep an eye on, and if you're the type to let your fullbacks fly forward, needing an ability to recover quickly, he may not be the card for you. This weakness is likely the byproduct of that slower initial movement speed, along with the medium defensive work rate. But it can mean that opportunities for a clever through pass will exist if you lose the ball when he's out of his tucked in position. Chem styles are very straightforward for me here, and you are scrambling to cover his main weakness. He needs every bit of that extra speed you can get him, so shadow is the only way for me here. That plus 10 on his acceleration proving vital in making him as quick as possible in recovery. In terms of position, I think Zambrotta is one of those cards which allows you such flexibility in team building. While I have no doubt his best work is done in the defensive line at right or left back, he can make a solid centre back too, particularly as the outer centre back in a 3, where he'll have extra cover beside him, and a greater opportunity to use his ability to bring the ball out from the back. That being said, he could also move into the central midfield area, but best suited to a CDM position in my opinion, whereby that defensive transition speed won't hurt you as much as it might have if he's moving from box to box. Overall then, I'd give Zambrotta a 90 rating, as I believe he performs marginally better than his stats would suggest. He can be an asset in a variety of positions in both directions, and offers you incredible flexibility in game if you need to change shape or cover alternative positions as the game progresses. He is Mr. Consistency on the grass, and it's rare you lose a game and feel that he was the cause. For value, I think actually that his price can be expensive for fullback, and certainly you should invest in other areas first, but he brings with him such a balanced set of stats which allow you to cover in so many areas, and the doors he opens makes him worth his weight in gold. Right now, in the week before Premier League tots, he's trading at around 460k, and you could do a lot worse than add him to your first 11. I think for everything he brings, a value rating of 90 is well deserved. So that concludes today's Icon review. Before you go, please don't forget to like and subscribe if you'd like to see more reviews and content, as I can't do this without your support, which has been incredible to date by the way, and I'm so thankful for all of your feedback and to everyone that's watched any of my videos. Look forward to seeing you all in the next video.